Hello everyone, my name is Nikhil and welcome to the channel Simplified. In my previous video, I had explained the basics of VLOOKUP function, but knowing the syntax is only one part of the problem. The real challenge is knowing how to troubleshoot when the function doesn't work as expected. You may get NA errors, ref errors, or maybe it's not showing any errors but it is fetching the wrong data. So in this video, we will learn how to troubleshoot some of these problems that you may encounter while you work with the VLOOKUP function. I have some data here and I have used VLOOKUP function to fetch the sales data for this particular list of people here. NA error means that VLOOKUP couldn't find the value it is searching for. First, check if your table selection is correct. So here we are searching by the name, but if we go into the function, we can see that the first column selected includes serial number. As I had explained in my previous video, VLOOKUP always searches for the value in the first column of the selection. Here the first column is serial number. So the correction here is to change the table selection to include name in the first column, and whenever you change the table selection, also check if the column number is correct. Sales data is in the third column, so I'll have to enter 3 here. So now some of these errors have got rectified. Another possibility is that you didn't freeze the table reference. So let's see why this is an error here. If we go in here, we can see that the table selection has actually changed downwards. So this is because we did not freeze the reference for the table by adding the dollar symbols. So this name Amit Verma is going outside of the list, and that is why the value is not showing up. The fix here is to go back to the first cell and freeze the reference of the table by selecting it and then pressing F4. And now if I apply it for all the other formulas, that is getting fixed. Now if your table selection and column selection are all correct and you are still getting NA error, consider the possibility that the data that you're searching for actually doesn't exist in the table. But if that is not the case and you're using exact match, maybe there are minor differences in the lookup value causing the problem. So when I inspect, I can find that Harish Sinha is actually there. So ideally this shouldn't come as an error. So the problem here is that there is an extra space, whereas in this there is no space. When we use false here, it is looking for an exact match. So any dot or space can also create this problem. So one thing I could do is add a space over here so that this and this matches, and now I get the value. The other of course is to delete the space over here. But if that is the same problem that I am having across all the names, then instead of going into each cell and deleting, I could use the trim function. So I'll undo this for now, and if I select TRIM open bracket and select this name, so this resultant name will not have the extra space. So trim function will remove any space that is there at the beginning or at the end of the name. For example, even if I add some space over here, you can see that space doesn't come here. So I will use trim function on all these values and I will copy this and paste it here as values. So now you see the spaces have disappeared and hence we are able to get the values. We can also inbuild the trim function into the VLOOKUP function itself. So I will undo this for now. And this trim part I can include it in the VLOOKUP. So here instead of selecting H8, I will add trim H8. So now here this function will ensure that the value gets trimmed and the spaces are removed, and then the search will happen. So this too fixes the error for all of this. But here if you see, it is still not working. Now the original value here itself doesn't have a space. The problem is that there is an extra space in the database itself. So trim will be able to remove the space from this selection in H11, but it won't be able to remove the space from the table. So here the only option is to go into the table and correct it. NA error could also be the result of using approximate match instead of exact match. So for an exact match, I need to enter false over here. If I don't enter anything, by default it takes approximate match. For approximate match to work, the data needs to be sorted in alphabetical order, and here we see the names are not in alphabetical order, and when that is the case, approximate match generally is unable to find the data. So if I add false over here and make it an exact match, I will get the number. I'll come back to these two later. Incorrect formatting of numbers could also result in NA errors. Now here this number is stored as a number itself, but when I go over here you can see the formatting is appearing as text. So the text of 1 will not match with the number of 1. So you in fact get a clue because Excel will have this green triangle in the top left corner of the cell which indicates some form of an inconsistency, and when you click the cell you get this warning message that the number in this cell is formatted as text. So you can click this and click on convert to number. You can see the formatting has changed to general. If I have a lot of numbers, I will have to select all of this and I can convert to number. All of this will get converted to number. And now you can see that the values have appeared. Another clue that you can get on this error is that usually if number is stored as text, it will be left aligned. And if it is there as number, it will be right aligned. The next type of error is ref error. This happens when the references you are using in the function is not making sense. A reference is basically the mentioning of any cell, table or column in the function. The most common reason why ref error would come up is if I mention a column number which is greater than the number of columns in the table that I selected. Here we have 4 columns, but if I put 6 over here, then I will get a ref error. So I can fix it by putting any number that is equal to or less than the total number of columns. One more reason where ref error could come up is if the cell or the table that I have referred to has been accidentally deleted. For example, if I delete this, you get a ref error. Or let's say the entire table has been deleted, then also I'll get the ref error. The solution here is to go inside the formula and reselect the table and cells once again. Now in all these cases, Excel itself will highlight these errors by mentioning it as NA or ref error. But there is a more problematic kind of error. That is when it doesn't show it as an error, but it is fetching the wrong data. Again, one of the most common reason why this error happens is because of using approximate match instead of exact match. So if I look at Rohan Kapoor's data over here, the sales is actually 64,000, but I am getting 1,01,000. So the reason here again is because I have not made an exact match. So I need to mention false. So now I will get 64,000. So like I said earlier, if the data is not sorted in ascending order, approximate match will give wrong data. Also check if you have any hidden columns in the original table, because that may have led you to arrive at a wrong count for the columns. For example, if this column is hidden, I may think that the commission is in the third column from here. So I may enter 3. But what I would be getting instead would be the sales data. So just ensure that the database that you are selecting doesn't have any hidden columns. Finally, check if there are any duplicate values in the lookup column. And here I have Arav Sharma whose sales value is 87,000, but here I am getting 98,000. That is because there is one more Arav Sharma entry over here with 98,000. So if there are duplicate values, VLOOKUP will always pick the first value. To ensure that there are no duplicate data in the original database, you can select all the names, go to conditional formatting, highlight cells, duplicate values. So this will highlight these. So if there are 2 different people with the same name, I could differentiate this by mentioning Arav Sharma 1 and this could be Arav Sharma 2, and here I could say Arav Sharma 1 so that I will get the correct data. But if you want to build a dynamic VLOOKUP function that is capable of handling any addition or deletion to the table, watch out for the link in the description. I have made a separate video on that. And don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment in case you learned something useful. Thank you so much for watching and see you again in the next video.